Welcome to Common Off the Shelf, a podcast for the modern Contra and preppers. We discuss items, books, and topics from a common man's perspective, and our opinions are our own. Do not take any of these as hard facts, only as our interpretation and understanding in a flawed world of amazing products, price gouging, and cheap crap. Your results may vary, and your needs may differ depending on where you live and what you know. So don't take this as a blanket endorsement for all people in every situation. Just like camouflage, your abilities and needs will vary. This is a conversation about hypotheticals and fiction with these items, and never is an endorsement of the owner, author, or any actions. Lastly, we are just common men and not experts in the fields. If we get it wrong, great, tell us. If there is something better, let us know. I can't believe I had to say this, but some of you window lickers made this necessary. Hello all you Contras, preppers, and everybody in between. Welcome to Common Off the Shelf, a podcast about everything and anything we can think of that may help you out. I am Guerrilla Logistician. I'll be the only person on tonight. Other guys got other things going on. We should be recording another podcast soon, and we will be talking about the infamous poop conversation, which I know you guys are like, ugh, and probably don't want to listen to it. I promise you, it'll be far more interesting than you think. But tonight I want to go over some courses that are coming up, because many people before this whole debacle with Vegas and Louisiana literally went to bed. And I'm not the only one who's talked about it. You've heard it from Scout. You've heard it from other people. Many people, including some people who signed up for courses, decided, I don't need this training anymore. Trump's in office. We're good to go. We don't have anything to worry about. Now, I'm not going to get too political. I want you guys to think back, because normally I say the liberals do not pay attention to anything beyond a few moments of knowledge or information. They will follow anything that day and be damned history. And that's not a total nail on every liberal. There are old school liberals who, yes, they were different from me, but were American citizens who believed in the American way. They had different beliefs. That isn't always the case now. And to be fair, I don't want to go into politics too deep, there is a difference between a liberal, a socialist, a anarchist, and that is a conversation for people like Scout and Dolio and others to go into the deep dive of it. In fact, I would love to sit down and really dig with one of them sometime and get in and flesh that out. But suffice to say, they do talk about it enough that you guys can figure it out yourself. And this is something I've seen before. There are still parts of the conservative realm that are a little different. There's the libertarians, which are not conservatives. There were the Tea Party, etc. And that's something to think about as well. But we need to know as people why we're doing this stuff. We need to know why we're buying this stuff. And just because things look better on the horizon, sometimes we need to look back and go, is it going to really be better? And I want to direct you guys back to 2016, because right now we're hearing January 6th, January 6th, January 6th, up until recently. And those people forgot about January 6th for a couple years, and I feel like the conservatives forgot about 2016. 2016 was the fiery, peaceful protest, and that is a color revolution in itself. That is the thing that you should be concerned about. And if you don't think this is going to happen again, even with this crap that happened in Vegas, the circumstances around that, which has been preached and talked about by smarter men than me, the attack in Louisiana, what on God's green earth makes you think that it's going to be any different now? And I'll even double down. I like Trump. I really do. I think he's got his flaws like everybody else. And I will say this right now. The swamp didn't get drained in 2016. I highly doubt he'll be able to pull it off now. No matter how many people we have to deal with the situation, he just can't do everything. And one of the reasons why our political system is the way it is because we can weather a bad president and still come out. Yes, things are not as good as they should be. If you didn't like Biden, you thought he did a bad job, and you thought he wasn't good, guess what? We still are here, and things haven't completely fallen apart. But if you're listening to us, you know where things have been going and where things could continue to go. So what classes am I looking at? Well, there's a couple guys teaching, and I'm going to touch on the common guys that you already know. And I want to start off with the illustrious Joe Dolio. I'm going to read through some of his classes. I'm going to skip the January one because it's coming up too soon, and I don't know if this is going to get out fast enough. But I want to pinpoint February 18th to 20th of 2025. The Fieldcraft course is going to be at Brush Beater Training Center in North Carolina, the G Camp. What's involved in this? Why the hell should I even know that? I know Fieldcraft, I cut wood, I can do all this stuff. They're not the Fieldcraft that you think it is. The Fieldcraft course is based on the TW-02 book. Now, yes, you have his book. If you don't practice it, you won't be able to do it. Just having a book does not mean you have the knowledge. I can attest to this because I've read a lot of books, and then I've gone out and tried stuff, and it's way harder, or I didn't understand something. So let me read from his website. We will practice individual and team movement skills, how to select and set up a secure overnight site, land navigation both day and night, mindset, and observation skills. We will also learn a few ways of setting up a tarp shelter. This is key for you guys. The Ukraine war has been going on. You all know it's existed. You've watched the drone shit. You've watched the thermals being used. You know thermals are being sold on Brush Beater's store. You know they're becoming more common. This is the same way night vision was 5 to 10 years ago. What are we doing? How is he changing things? He's creating shelters and LPOP style positions that are secure and hidden from thermals and reduce your signature so you don't get caught. He's very good at it. Also, he's going to be talking about drones, etc. I'm sure that always comes up in every course. The man is very good at teaching. I highly recommend you get out to him. If you're on the East Coast, this is the time to go out and hit this up. Students should be prepared to be out in the weather. We will be camping throughout the course. Immersion is the way to learn. When you register for a course, a required and suggested gear list will be sent out. So I want you guys to remember that because you're going to need stuff. I think some of those lists are online somewhere. I don't know exactly where they are at the moment. That Fieldcraft course is $500. It's 3 days. I really want you guys to think about going to this course. It's well worth your time. All right, next one. Actually, I also want to add, he's going to be doing March 14th to 16th, Community Security Operations. That's going to be out in Montana. Most of his classes are in Montana. He does classes other places. If you have enough people and you want to do a class and you have the right area, he'll do other stuff as well. April 5th is going to be Unarmed Combatives and Ground Defense, also in Camp Ponce, Montana. April 6th, he's got a stick and knife combatives class out there. April 25th to 27th is going to be another Fieldcraft class in Camp Ponderosa as well. He has a couple more classes coming up in May, but we'll hold off for that for now. Next one I want to talk about is going to be the Signals Intelligence course, which is 10th to the 12th of July, and it's going to be at DARC, which is just outside of Little Rock. I saw this come up, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh man, my homies who are out in Arkansas have a class nearby that I can tell them about well in advance. So you've got a couple months to prepare. Obviously, Scout's course has the 4 interest-free installments if you can do that with a Shop Pay app. So that's an option for you. The DARC area is phenomenally good area for training from what I've been told. I haven't been out there yet, but it's worth going out there and meeting the locals. So if you're in the regions of Alabama, Oklahoma, I'd almost say the northern section of Texas, southern regions around like Missouri, which Southern Missouri had a course already. If you missed it, this would be another option. This is the class for you to go to. There's some really good people. I already have, I think, 1 or 2 friends signed up for this already. I'd love to go out there, but don't think I'm going to be able to do that. What is this course, and why am I such a proponent of it? Well, the 3-day SIGINT course is going to teach you about intelligence targeting cycle, which is F3EAD. You can go look that up if you want to and get yourself familiarized, but he will go into good detail about this. Understanding and familiarizing with various types of common off-the-shelf COTS, the name of this freaking podcast, Signals Intelligence Collections Equipment and Platform. He'll probably go over everything from tiny SA Ultras to probably talking about the Kraken. I brought my Kraken out one time. It didn't work at the moment because I messed up and didn't have enough juice for, it was either the Raspberry Pi or the Kraken itself. And it started up, but it didn't do what it was supposed to. That device is phenomenal. You can also create passive radar with it if you want to, but that's not all. He teaches you how to do this stuff with just a beta frame radio. So if you have that, you're already leaps and bounds beyond Bubba on figuring out what's going on. So he'll talk about spectrum and point searches, which is the difference between, like, let me look at the whole band, what's going on in various bands, what signals am I seeing, what is this, what is that, what websites to look at now to understand what I'm seeing, etc. And he'll teach you how to target various levels of communication. He's also going to teach you about electronic warfare, both receiving it and what it would look like if you were transmitting. He's not going to go out there and jam stuff, but he's going to give you the basic knowledge of that kind of stuff. And he's going to teach you about psychological operations based off that. This has happened in Ukraine-Russia battle. It's happened in Syria. It's happened all over the world. It's happened in the color revolutions, and it's something we don't talk about. What happens when you're talking to your buddy and somebody keys up that you don't know and starts just blabbing? How do you deal with that? And he's going to talk about this stuff. He's going to go into deep discussions with things that you just don't realize is there. So what do you need to bring? Not a damn thing other than a notebook. If you want to bring any communications equipment, you're more than welcome to. I brought my Kraken out. I've played with that. I've played with the tiny SA Ultras, especially at the Scout courses and other things like that. So that's there for you. He's going to bring out enough stuff for you guys to really get a good dig into it and figure out how to use it. His class is currently 3 days long. This is a change from back in the day when I took it, which was 2 days long. It's not because he is teaching more, the same amount in less time. He's teaching more. I've been to his class as an alumni and learned even more. What else should we talk about? Well, Scout's going to have his Scout course on the 21st through the 23rd of February, and then he's going to have the Recce course right after it from 24th to 26th of February. Guys, I'd love to be there. I just can't see myself being able to pull that off. I am, however, looking at the Fighting Carbine, which is the 29th to the 30th, and that'll be out at, I believe, the G Camp. If it is, I'm going to try to go out there, and that course is going to be a 2-day Fighting Carbine course focusing on taking students of any skill level and making them proficient in the manual of arms for AR-15s or AK platforms in a realistic combat environment. This is from zeroing, fighting stance, trigger control, sight acquisition, you name it. All you need is a serviceable firearm with an optic, 400 rounds of ammo, spare magazines, gloves, spare magazine carrier, eye and ear protection. I really want to bring my fiance out to that one really bad. I've got to see if I can put the money together and get her set up in time, and hopefully we'll have 2 AR-15s out there, because I need to redo some shooting classes here and there just to keep proficient, and I think that's an important thing for all of us to do. A lot of us are gun guys, so we shoot more than we actually train on other stuff. So that's out there. That's an option for a course, but it's not something that I'm going to say, oh, you have to go to. If you've already been trained up, great. Last but not least, I want to talk about the HF NVIS operations course. This course I went to, and I can't recommend this enough. Now, you may not have heard this guy. He goes by the name of Historian on the forums. He is in damn near every conversation relating to radios. And you'll get a bigger, more detailed background from him when you go to his class. The guy knows how to hunt people, and he knows how to hide on radios. He has a lot of experience doing this, and I'm going to keep it at that. But I'll kind of explain the course, because I went through the 2-day course. He's now changed to a 3-day course. He's upped the price a little bit, but highly worthwhile. So what are we doing in this 3-day course? Well, he's expanded the time of the class for specific reasons. He has changed the course start time from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., plus evening and mornings of optional sessions. And this is specifically to teach you how to hide and how to react and how to listen to the layers of the ionosphere change and why it's so important. I know what he's doing. I wish we'd done it during our class. I don't have any issue with what he did. With our class, it was phenomenal. I was blown out of the water. Let me put it this way. Where I leave Scout's course with probably 5 pages of notes, I left with about 15 here. And this is no hit on Scout's classes. It's just usually I have a little more information, a little more knowledge. I'm fairly capable with HF radios. You've heard me talk about the 6100 with the guys. This guy blew me out of the water, which is fine. That's who I want to go see. And I know Scout thinks very highly of him as well. I knew about this guy from Scout before I even took his class. And that's part of the reason why I took his inaugural class, because I was like, oh man, if Scout thinks so highly of him, he's got to be good. And he trumped where I thought he would be. Anyways, what are they going to be doing in this class? They're going to be building and testing NVIS antennas. And this is very important because the NVIS antenna is a little bit different than what you think. It's not a hard antenna to build. It's not something that you may not have seen, but sometimes it's just the setup that changes how things work. Students will have a choice between an end-fed half-wave and a linked dipole to build. I'm bringing all the materials, including wire, for up to 20 antennas and a couple sets of antenna making tools and a couple of antenna analyzers. If you have any rechargeable drills, drill bits, and an antenna analyzer, that would be great. I'm getting this from his email to me. I'm going to actually be out there helping him. We're going to have to be testing these antennas. We're going to do some more extensive off-site operations, which we did a little bit in the last class, but he wants to go more into it, and I totally agree with it. I didn't go with the off-site party. I did the on-site party because I want other people to experience it. I do a lot of off-site, off-grid work as it is with radios, so I was kind of adapted for that. He wants to do a digital and as the primary communication instead of the voice for reasons of security and operation, and I think that's very important. He's going to be going through probably everything from FL Digi, exactly what actual software and what programs you should use specifically to hide yourself and get the clearest information out. Now, just like Scout's course, he tells you don't use the same frequency every time, don't use the same digital transmission technique every time, change things up. He will go into everything from soil composition to how the ground is, where to set up the antenna to hide from other people. And to be clear, this course has a little bit of restrictions too. You probably should go to either or, you don't have to do both, the RTO Advanced RTO course, or have your general license. If you have an HF radio and you want to come out to this, I highly recommend either or. There'll be enough guys out there with ham radio licenses that we can do the training without doing anything illegal and for you to get your understanding of what's going on. And I know he wants to do more hands-on training. We went through everything. We went through bandpass filters, chokes, etc. We had a whole discussion on EMPs. The man is a savant on that subject. If you are worried about EMPs, you need to come here and you need to have a chat with this guy. He will blow your mind. I talked to Chris Weatherman quite a bit. Chris knows his stuff. I think this guy knows more because of his past experiences. We talked about so many antennas in that class, and I'm looking at my notes right now. You may even hear me flipping the pages. We talked about cross dipoles. We talked about fan dipoles. We talked about crazy antennas that I hadn't looked up before. There's one WHJK beam antenna, and I think a lazy H, rhombic, a whole bunch of other stuff that weren't always related to specifically NVIS knowledge. Now, if you've gotten this far, and I should have said this earlier, if you don't know what NVIS is, it's near vertical incident skywave. This is for your tactical and regional communications. This is for beyond line of sight, but not long range. Talking about 600 miles, give or take. The radio waves go up, hit the ionosphere, come basically back down. Think think of shining the Batman symbol up in the sky and hitting the sky, the clouds above, and everybody in the city can see it. Or line of sight, you might be talking building to building. Now, that's obviously not accurate, but I just want you guys to understand it. So I can be either flashing a light directly towards you, or I can shine it up, it can hit up and bounce. But if you're away from the city, you're not going to be able to see it. Here's the kicker. If anybody knows anything or is trying to track down those spotlights waving around, yeah, you can find the spotlights. This doesn't work that way because the signal comes up, and when it comes back down, just like I was talking about having the Kraken, well, all that signal is hitting these locating antenna systems at the same time. The Kraken works by having a signal come and hit one of 5 antennas first, or maybe hitting 2 of the 5 antennas, and then it tracks how long and what the difference of time is between the 1 antenna, 2 antenna, 3 antenna, 4 antenna, and 5 antenna getting that signal. And if you put it in an array that's shaped like a star or a line, it can give you the direction of, hey, it's over to your left, to your right, north, south, east, west, blah, blah, blah. The Kraken also can be connected to the Wi-Fi on your phone. You can go hunt down the signals. You can go drive up to the people's houses. If you want to know more about it, Not a Rubicon did an actual good video on YouTube about it. So think about a man who knows enough to basically defeat China, Russia. If you were out in Taiwan, you had to go to Ukraine, God forbid. I know most of you guys here probably are never going to volunteer to go do that. But think about having that knowledge to be able to transmit and receive tactical communications in a secure manner and not be hunted, not have a caliber missile go right into your shack that you're communicating from. Now, he will tell you, move position, do all the other stuff. And he talks about 2 books. One I've read called Between Silk and Cyanide. That one's by Leo Marks, and that is the British perspective on the SOE and the communications to do with encryption and communication, wireless radio communication during World War II. And then London Calling the North Pole, which is the German counterpart's book on the same subject. I have not read that one yet. I plan to read it, but Between Silk and Cyanide really changed how I did stuff. And he bases a lot of knowledge on how things went wrong for both the Brits and the Germans. And that information he has developed and passed on over time and verified Korea, Vietnam, etc. He specifically talks about Vietnam a lot because we did the same thing in Vietnam. We started using NVIS technology to get over mountains and communicate back. And that's a dying subject that is now coming back in the U.S. military. So it's something very important to a lot of us to know about. And I think a lot of people haven't done that. We're looking at long-range communications quite a bit, or local, tactical, shoot 'em, scoot kind of communications between teammates, which is all fine and good. That's what Scout teaches, and I appreciate that. But I think you should look at these courses a little bit deeper and possibly put your money towards some of this, because we don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of years. If 2016 is anything to benchmark what may happen in the future, I suggest you guys get ready. There was a cold snap during January 6th. There's still protests, but there wasn't as many protests. Just think if January 6th, the socialist version, had been as violent as, quote-unquote, the left thought the conservative side was on January 6th, how that would have played into the rest of the year. We're not that far into the year yet that you shouldn't be thinking about what the hell's going to happen when he gets in office, if he gets in office at this point, with all the crap they're going to try to pull. Again, I'm trying not to be a political conversationalist on this topic, but it's something you should think about. If you went to sleep and said, Trump won, we're good, I want you to really think, oh shit, did I make a mistake? And I want you to go get those courses and make sure your friends, your family, get that knowledge from you that make them more secure. Yes, buy gear. That's what we're talking about. We're trying to keep you away from crap gear. I may lead you astray because I don't know everything, and we're just common dudes talking about stuff that we kind of know. Sometimes we know a little more than others. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're just here to educate you. But all in all, this is stuff you guys need to look at. Anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for getting me 1,000 downloads on Podbean. I can't thank you guys enough. Thanks to Patriot Man. Thank you, Dolio. Thank you, Scout, for giving us the voice on X and pushing our podcast forward. Also, I'd like to add one other podcast you guys might want to listen to. It's a little rough at the start. Teddy Bear has one. It's called, I believe, the Log Cabin Podcast. I will probably talk about this more on the next podcast because we're going to be talking about health-related stuff. But Teddy Bear does a great thing. He's a super smart guy, and I don't think he's had as much deserved attention on his podcasts as should be, and I'm going through them right now, and I feel dumb having known this guy for a while not to have listened to it earlier. It is in the weeds on the health and the medical stuff, so if you're a medical guy or you want to be a medical guy, this is the podcast for you. Anyways, thank you guys. Have a great day.